Welcome to 9394, a music podcast with me, Travis. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me. Good to have you. I had with me for this episode one of my oldest and dearest friends, Dave Horning. Really, really rare I get to see him in person, despite the fact that he flies planes for a living. He doesn't really get to decide, where they're going to go. He gets to travel a lot, but he doesn't get to come home to Michigan very often. But he did for the holidays, and I got to spend some time with him. It was a really nice evening. Our buddy Christian came over, who's also been on the show. And since Dave was in town, he came into my office, the 9394 studio, which is just a room. And we talked about the album Chocolate and Cheese from the band Ween, who he has always been a huge fan of. So I was excited to get to talk with him again, and I think you're going to appreciate some of the stories he has about this band.
How'd you feel if I took you away to a place I know, place where we could stay, called Chopper Road, pretty place I know, where we can go, called Chopper Road. The things I feel on Chopper Road can make me stay and make me go. This old road where I long to go, called Chopper Road, where we can go.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Travis. Good to see you in person.
Dude, where do you live? You live in Arizona.
I live in Prescott, Arizona.
I mean, I know where you live. I was going to prompt you to tell the audience where you live. But yes, you live in Prescott, Arizona.
Prescott.
We are maxing out here. Let's take this down a notch.
Chopper Road, pretty place I know, where we can go, called Chopper Road.
There we go.
Try that.
Better?
But yeah, dude, it's good to have you in person in my home to talk about which album?
Ween, Home for the Holidays, the Holiday Edition special.
We're doing Chocolate and Cheese from 1994, which, of all the Ween albums we could pick, it's the only one, and you're a huge fan. For me, this is the only album that I have any history with or ever really got into. So it kind of works out nicely for both of us because you get to gush about one of your all-time favorite bands, and I'm not completely clueless for once.
All right, absolutely. And I know you're going to ask it, so have I ever seen them? I've seen them probably more than any other band that I've seen.
Do you have any idea how many times?
I've lost track.
Yeah.
It's upper teens, low 20s. I don't know.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you count the multi-night runs that they do, I've
Sure.
seen at least 3 of those. So, yeah. Been backstage for one of those multi-night runs. That was awkward. A lot of fun. I think the first time I ever saw them, though, was an amazing show. That was, what is it? Clutch Cargo's is the old church in
Yep.
Pontiac.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that show. I went with Brett Strauss, my little brother, and Blair Whiteman.
Mhm.
And we went and they played and played and played and played. They passed around a bottle of Jack Daniels
Oh, wow.
on stage that they all polished off. And then they cracked another one. I think it was freshly 21.
Uh-huh.
This was shortly after high school. My little brother was a teenager in high school. This was before I even joined the Army. So
Okay.
I had a cast. My arm was broken and it actually delayed me from joining the Army. And we had smuggled in smokables into my cast.
Okay.
And we drank Clutch Cargo's out of alcohol. Their bars ran out of alcohol. They couldn't supply the audience anymore.
Yeah.
They played maybe 5 or 6 encores.
Wow.
Blair and my little brother left.
They got sick of it?
They just popped out thinking one of the encores was the end. And
Oh.
they missed the whole back half of the show.
That sucks.
Because in the middle of it, they were just so into playing that they were like, what else? What else do we know? What else can we play? And then that was Jeaner, and then Diener's we know all of the Doors albums, so they start playing Riders on the Storm, and they just keep on going on and on and on, playing all this stuff. They started playing Pink Floyd, and they were just getting drunker and drunker and sloppier, but they were having a hell of a time. And it was so awesome. And we were out of alcohol, so we were trying to dig into my cast to get those smokables, but we weren't smart and put it in a baggie or anything. So it just exploded in there. And then when I took my cast off, there was all this plant matter that had just decayed in my cast at the end of it.
right, so do you remember how you first got into Ween? How you got into this album?
Probably about the time that this came out, but this wasn't the album that got me into Ween. It was the prior album.
Yeah, what's the name of that? That was one with Push Little Daisies.
Yeah, Pure Guava.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the one that put him on the map. Pure Guava was the album that I got into. It was
Yeah.
I was at Diocesan Youth Leadership Camp.
Okay.
So, because I was going to be like the church youth group leader the next year, so they sent me to a diocesan church youth group camp. And I got in with all the oddballs, as I always am wont to do.
Sure.
And we would go to this place on the grounds. It was, what's that religious college out west?
Brigham Young?
No. Out west in the state of Michigan.
Oh, west in the state of Michigan. Hillsdale?
I don't
Carter
know.
went.
Yeah, it's Catholic.
No.
No.
Hillsdale's where it's more just conservative.
Okay.
Evangelical.
No, it's like a Catholic college. Anyways, we were there, and that's where the camp was. But it was beautiful grounds, and they had this place with all these like cottonwood trees or something, and they were just blasting all this cotton. And,
I love that time of year.
you know, it was a dry creek bed, and it was just this, they called it the snowy oasis, all us oddballs. So we'd go hang out in the snowy oasis, and they were all smoking weed. I was not a weed smoker at all at the time, and we were hanging out in the snowy oasis, and my friends that I made there were playing that album, Pure Guava, and that got me into it, and I was just immediately a fan. Just like the genre-spanning musical ability of this band just drew me in. It hit, like, scratched all those right itches in my musical taste.
That's the thing. They are definitely transcendent of genre. And I had not listened to Chocolate and Cheese since 96, 95. Our friend, I think he was a friend of yours. I don't know if he really was or not. Andrew Johnson.
Yeah.
I've mentioned Andrew on the show a few times, and he had Chocolate and Cheese, so I copied it from him. And so I had it, and I listened to it, but like it was like audio whiplash. I don't know, like I was very open to weird and different kind of bands at the time, but it kind of threw me off of them, to be honest. I kind of never really came back. But listening to it the last couple of days, because we haven't had a lot of, this was hastily thrown together, this episode. I didn't have a lot of time to spend with the album. But I was like, well, shit, I probably need to start listening to Ween a bit more, because now that I'm older, I'm like, well, fuck, these guys, they really just straddle every genre very confidently all over the place, and I have a lot more respect for them now.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about this album. You mentioned musical whiplash, and that's what I was noticing a lot on my couple of listens through, since we hastily did throw this together.
Yeah.
The way the tracks are organized on this album, I don't know if they did that to like frighten and confuse and like bedazzle you or whatever, but like you go straight from something like I Can't Put My Finger on It, which is just like a crazy in your face, like kind of like a snake charmer, right?
Yeah.
But it's also got that crazy screaming and everything, and then it goes straight into A Tear for Eddie, which is the instrumental that's very reminiscent of like Prince sounds or like soul music, you know?
And
like
fairly conventional.
Right, yeah. And it just does that like multiple times throughout the album too. It'll go from just this like to like you know, it's weird.
Maybe it is a little bit the track listing, but I mean, it's certainly not like other bands. I did, of course, have the cover artwork on my wall as a kid, naturally.
Yeah, I mean, luscious boobies, who doesn't want that on their wall? Apparently that whole decision to make that be the cover was because Aaron Freeman, aka Gene, wanted to do some like
gay sailor thing, right?
Yeah, and they're like, that's not gonna sell. And you guys are like, you made good sales with your first album.
Don't do this.
Keep this rolling. Yeah.
I mean, I think it would have been funny, but as a 14-year-old boy in 1994, I certainly was drawn to the album in part because of the cover. Yeah. Which
boobies, not gay sailors, wasn't your bag back then.
Nor now. Everyone likes boobs. What can I say? All right, I'm going to cut that out. Anyways.
You got to leave it in.
Probably will. So we just sat down before we started recording this, and we watched the music video for Voodoo Lady, which was one of the singles from this album.
I think it was like probably their most popular off this, Intel.
Yeah, I mean, like, they've only got so many singles that are, like, in the ether out there that people know. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with Beavis and Butthead, because Push Little Daisies was on there, and I'm pretty sure that Voodoo Lady was on there, too, right?
I think that was the Beavis and Butthead one.
Yeah, I think I know Push Little Daisies was on there, too.
Yeah.
So those two for sure. So you were going to tell me who directed it. You asked me who I thought directed it. My first guess was Mark Romanek. You said no. My second guess, Spike Jonze?
There you go.
Okay.
Bravo.
All right.
Good job.
It is a pretty cool fucking video.
Yeah, it's, definitely oddball. It fits him very well. I think Spike tapped into the feel of Ween and gave him room to run and worked with him to make something that felt like them. But I don't know if it really, like, fits the whole ambiance of the song itself, you know? But the 90s was weird with shit like that, right? I mean... Almost
deliberately at times. It seemed like music videos would have... Especially, they have, like, nothing to do whatsoever with the music pretty often.
Yeah, let's be completely obtuse about the song.
Right.
And, just go on a complete tangent visually.
The underwater stuff that they're doing in that really works. The photo negative stuff, not as much necessarily.
Right.
But you just mentioned also one of the other singles from that time, which was I Can't Put My Finger on It, right?
Right.
There's a music video for that.
There is, yeah.
Should we watch it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Easy to live, those who live can live, survive under the sun. I can't put my finger on it. Easy green, easy red, easy to live or easy dead. I can't put my finger on it. Stays with the nails all the days in the past. I can't put my finger on it. Easy blood, easy white, easy really out of sight. I can't put my finger on it.
Well, that was fun. Lots of Euro meat. Lots of dudes kind of like yelling at a camera, but they're not in the band. They're clearly just people that work at the Euro place. And you want me to guess who directed that one too?
No. That was Chris Applebaum was his name. He was very famous for doing Mighty Mighty Boss Tones videos. And he did a bunch of videos just for, of the era people.
Yeah,
so I think he was like a go-to guy for the companies to go to.
Gotcha.
Like, the labels to go to. I mean, it's very fun and fitting of Ween.
It's quirky, and it's got photo negative shit in it again.
Yeah.
And it's...
well, that was just a very 90s thing, right?
Yeah.
I think they probably chose the Euro shop because they're huge fans of food in general. Like, there's so many, food references in all of their stuff.
Shit, the name of the album is Chocolate Cheese.
Yeah, which is actually a pretty decent pairing if you do the right kinds of chocolate and cheeses. But
I can't say I've ever tried.
anyways. Yeah, I think they did it in the Euro shop because they're like, we could get just good food here,
Yeah.
Pork Roll, Egg, and Cheese is one of their biggest songs, and it's like describing love. That is like their heart's version of love is this pork roll, egg, and cheese, and that's a very delicious dish as well.
And a very Philadelphia dish.
Yeah,
People think of the
very regional.
steak and cheese, but they love the fucking pork
For
rolls
sure.
out
And
there.
in this album, they even say, it's in Freedom of 76, they say, a bacon steak, a perfect match. Yes, so they love their food.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even, I don't know if it was the liner notes or whatever, but it was known that, bring us hot home-cooked meals on tour was the thing that they wanted. So they're kind of dogs, very food motivated.
Yeah, they're on the road a lot.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought it up, I'll go ahead and say that for me, and we'll talk about yours here in a little bit, but my favorite song on this album has been since then and still now Freedom of 76.
Oh, it is so good.
It is just such a fucking great, groovy, and when we say hop genres, they can get so specific. That is clearly mid-late 70s soul.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Let's watch the video for it too. Why the
All
fuck
right,
not?
let's do it.
Freedom of the body, a freedom of the mind, a hoe on South Street, a high for drinks, little girls are picking up sticks. Freedom is 76.
So that was completely wrong about the first video. It was Coppola's son. Danny, maybe? Sophia's brother.
Okay.
That was his at-bat for that was
Voodoo Lady.
Voodoo Lady, yeah.
And so what we just watched...
That was actually Spike Jones.
Okay, so...
And it was a notable quality raise of all the other 2 single videos from this album.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I ever saw that video before. The ending seemed familiar when Dean Ween takes out the thing to pick the lock, but the rest of the whole thing did not seem familiar to me. But it's a love letter to Philadelphia, which is partly why I love it, because I lived there for 7 years, and I think of it still as a second home. All the references are fun. Apparently, you were saying that Mannequin was not filmed at Woolworths, apparently.
Yeah, it was not. It was filmed elsewhere, but still in Philly, somewhere.
Bacon Steaks are in Philly. Boys to Men
are from Philly.
Boys to Men are from Philly. I blanked on their name for a second.
Keeping up the beat, yeah. Freedom, 7 to 6, now, yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, it's just a really pretty song, and it's a celebration of Philly. What could you possibly not love about that?
Damn, that voice from Jeaner, dude. Wow. A falsetto that, well, absolutely rivals Tom York's ability to do a smooth falsetto and transition into his regular singing without make it sounding like yodeling. And Tom York is probably, I know he's one of my favorite musicians. Radiohead is, like, I proclaim as my favorite band. I don't know, they're my go-to fallback, but Ween is right up there. They're top 5. I don't know where they sit on the charts for me. I don't really like to quantify often, but they're in the top for me.
Yeah, well, if I had to guess your top 5, I'd assume it was you're wearing an Aesop Rock shirt. In no order, I'd say Aesop Rock, Tool, Primus, which you've done those 2 bands on the show before, Ween and Radiohead. Is that about right?
Yeah, Faith No More is mingled in there somewhere.
We've always been a big fan of
and basically
Pat Oswalt.
I'm also a big fan of... Oh man, Mike Patton Oswald. Let's just mash them together in some weird sci-fi. Let's make a show. Let's make that show.
I'd watch it.
You got like Mike Patton over like, and you got Patton Oswald like, why are you doing that?
Making some crazy obscure reference.
Obscure intelligent reference. Yeah.
So that was my favorite song on this album. What is your favorite song on this album?
Well, this song is absolutely so skillful and it just makes you emote, like whether you want to or not. Like his voice just draws you into it. So it's a contender. It's definitely high up on the album. But I think probably Buenos Tardes Amigos. It might be my favorite song on this album.
Buenos tardes, amigo. Hola, my good friend. Cinco de Mayo's on Tuesday, and I hoped we'd see each other again. You killed my brother last winter. You shot him 3 times in the back. In the night, I still hear Mama weeping. Oh, Mama still dresses in black.
And again, genre hopping, you go into this like spaghetti western. It's a spaghetti western tale. Like you could film the tale of this story and make a movie out of it. And man, the guitar on that, just like they're gripping like bow wow wow, bow wow wow.
Very Tom Waits,
wow.
Black Wings, but
for sure. Yeah, it gives you the whole like the Black Rider feel. Like
Black Wings from
Black Wings
from Bow Machine has the exact, but they're both borrowing from the same tradition.
The same effects.
Right, they're both doing like kind of a Mexicana kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Which this song, I chose it to be my most underrated song because like I didn't really remember it from back in the day, but listening to it recently, I'm like, holy shit, this is incredible. a little bit problematic. A little bit problematic with the accent. It's a little bit like, ew, okay, that's very 90s. But the story is incredible.
Is it really, though? Because,
it's tad, come on.
Is it really, though? Because, like, you have, every little community theater that does something, somebody's going to throw an accent on. You've got American actors doing British voice.
That's a good point. That's fine.
It's fitting the role for the theme of the song.
I'm not calling it outright racist. I'm just saying it's a little
yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Perhaps.
But we don't need to focus on that. A better thing
I
to
can
focus
yield.
on. Okay. And I can acknowledge that I don't think there's no ill will behind it. But it's definitely an incredible story. It's a really cool story. It takes its time. Right?
It does,
it's
yeah.
such a well-paced song.
And we've talked about this before. While I love the epic when it comes to music, we talked about it in Primus, like the old Diamondback Sturgeon. That song takes you on a journey, and this song takes you on that journey as well. And I love it when you can just like put things aside and get into the song, and it takes you someplace, and this takes you somewhere.
I do wish they made a video for it. I bet it would be fucking awesome. It would have been really cool.
The people of the village believed me. Mama, she wanted revenge. I told her that I'd see that she was honored. I'd find you and put you to death.
So there's this movie, The Indian Runner, directed by Sean Penn, that is based on, I forget which song, I think it's The Highway, something, it's based on a Bruce Springsteen song. And just because the story that Springsteen's telling is just that good that someone thought this would make a movie. And you're right, man. If someone adapted a screenplay out of Buenos Tardes Amigo, it would probably be really fucking good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good choice. That's my most underrated song on the album. How about your most underrated song? Is there any songs on this album that you feel like you've not given their fair shake?
I don't know. I think maybe Baby Bitch.
It's been a while since I've seen you smile, but now you've come back again. Came into the room and you saw my girl, and you asked her how long it's been. A year, she said, and you shook your head. Said, I'm surprised it's gone on that long. Baby, 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 bitch. For words I'm at a loss.
Baby Bitch is such a beautiful breakup song. Also, he says, fuck you, you stinking ass hoes.
So 90s to call someone a stinking ass hoe.
No, man, it's just such a good song. Again, the emotions are there. It's just a beautifully composed song. Also takes you on a tail, it takes you like through his mechanisms of coping that he goes through from this breakup. I'm not sure who it's about or anything, but it's definitely, we've all been there with some breakups, and like it talks about all that, and it goes through the steps we've all been through. So that
juxtaposition of like the beautiful song with the names that he's using to disparage this woman.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's effective. You're right. It's a really pretty song. It just, whatever the lyrics are, it's like, damn, nicely written little ditty here.
And I love that about Ween. Like, they're just total irreverence to anything while also making just quality jams.
you were saying you've got something of a relationship, a quasi-friendship with Dean Ween. You call him Mickey.
Yeah, he's in my phone. I can text him right now if I wanted to.
Let's text Mickey.
Should I text him?
No, let's leave Mickey alone. It's like, we're recording this like 2 days before Christmas. Let's leave him the fuck alone.
Hey, Mickey, you're going to be on this podcast with my buddy Travis.
He's like, I don't give a shit. Leave me alone.
No, so last time I was in Afghanistan, my wife and I are both huge Ween fans. She's never seen him, coincidentally.
Oh.
That's weird. We're going to go see him together in April for the first time, if we can find a babysitter. Anyways, when I came back from Afghanistan, Ween had broken up for a span. And one of the things that Diener, aka Mickey, was doing to occupy his time, besides a couple of other musical projects, he was running a fishing charter service off the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
So I looked into it, and we were definitely going to go up there anyways, because my little brother lives in Conshohocken, which is right outside of Philly.
Yep, good brewery out there.
Yeah, that's right. Walking distance of his house,
Yeah,
the Conchi Brewing. So I looked into it, and we chartered Mickey to go fishing, and we went, and it was a great time. We were like normies,
Yeah.
which he appreciated because apparently he had all this clientele that thought it was cool to like show up on like 6 hits of acid and go out on a boat, like on a small fishing boat. Like
The wash is out, it's hanging out, and all I have is nothing, nothing to do, nothing to say. I think I must be dreaming. The sun comes up and I'm all washed out. Is this what Dina was talking about? I don't think I will ever return again, my friend.
so, yeah. Mickey was appreciative that my little brother, my wife, and I showed up sober and ready to fish.
Yeah.
Paul was really, my little brother Paul, also at the first Ween experience with me, really into Ween as well. He was a musician in high school, engineer now, smart dude.
Always was.
And he loves Ween because Ween is a band that requires some thinking about to really get into them.
That's probably why I didn't.
So yeah, Captain Mickey, and First Mate Randy. First Mate Randy was really kind of in charge of the show.
Oh.
Mickey loves his fishing. He absolutely does. He talks about it all the time. They almost had a show go on with Les Claypool where Mickey and Les were going to go fishing together.
Oh, kind of a fishing with John thing.
But it was just these
lessons.
rock guys fishing together.
Yeah, that's cool.
That didn't go off for many reasons that Mickey had a lot to say about, but I won't repeat here.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it was so much fun, man. Mickey was so into the fishing. He was like, yeah, well, let's track him down, like checking the radar, and like he has experience with this. So he was looking at the fish finder scope, and like we were trying to track him down, and he wanted to fish sea bass that day, but the sea bass weren't running. So we ended up getting a bunch of bluefish, and we caught a ton, and it was so much fun. When a fish was on, he was like super into it. And
yeah.
We asked him about the drugs, because obviously this music is very drug-fueled,
It's
right?
druggy, yeah.
Yeah, it's very druggy. It's very drug-fueled. Mind-expanding, like...
yeah, it's hallucinogenic even.
Yeah. We asked him about it, like, do you smoke or anything? He's like, no, I'm a captain. Like, because he was like a registered captain for this fishing outfit, right? So he was under the federal regulations that I currently am under as an airline captain, right? Like, we have to follow all of the federal regulations, and you got to have clean pee for that, right?
Sure.
So we asked him about
and
that.
Good.
He's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I mean, duh. So we asked him about that, and he's like, yeah, no. Well, I got First Mate Randy here running the things, and like, I can drink, and that's about it. And like, the rest of it, if I get popped on any whiz quiz or whatever, like, so he was not doing any drugs at the time that would be detectable in urine after the fact. And this was even before weed was widely legal like it is now. This is 2013 that we went on this. So yeah, it was like right around when the first 2 states started legalizing it, I think. So yeah, we just had a good time drinking beers. We were drinking First Amendment Brewing, which was
Wait,
kind
20, you mean 21st
21st Amendment?
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, not First Amendment. Yeah. So it was a good time. And then we got done fishing. We caught a ton of fish, which my brother smoked later. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
We got done fishing. We're like, can we treat you to dinner? And he's like, yeah. So we all went to this place. First mate Randy showed up. Apparently blew out a tire on the way there. We thought he was like blowing us off. We're just like sitting there like, are we just buying Randy a meal or whatever? But he showed up late and it was awesome. We sat there and had dinner and it was a good fun, just rolling it on. He had so many stories about everything.
I saw you during this trip actually when you were on the
that's right.
You and I got dinner.
Yeah, we got together.
Yeah.
We met up downtown Philly and it was long time ago.
I remember you telling me about it then. And that was a big deal for you. Like, I mean, because they were always one of your favorite bands, and here you are fucking hanging out with the dude. So now you've stayed in touch with the guy over there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's like one of those things where it's like never meet your heroes, as it were. This was the exception to that rule, right? Like, meeting him, he was very, very cool. And he's like, I don't know if I should tell you guys about this or whatever, but he had this group called the Ween group that was one of his side projects that was happening at the time. And this place called John and Peter's, it's in downtown New Hope, where Ween is from. It's where they got their up and coming time. It's a small little...
It's like a bougie little place where people go to shop.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah.
It's like there's tons of little tiny shops and that kind of, it's really cute and
I think
tons of money.
I think it's kind of like gentrified that way. I don't think
that it was ever very urban if it's a place I'm thinking of. But.
Right. Well, I mean, not urban gentrification, but like, you know, like
commercialization.
Farming commercialization, like the town of Jerome where it used to be a mining ghost town and now it's like a bougie art town, right?
Yeah, people go there to shop.
So I think that's kind of what happened there. This is just me projecting, possibly.
I'm saying.
It's the site of Washington's Crossing is just south of there.
That sounds right.
Anyways, so he's like, I don't know if I should tell you or whatever, but he told us that they were debuting the Ween project there. And we went, and it was my wife's first time ever seeing anybody from Ween play anything. Yeah. So it was amazing.
That's very cool.
Then we hung out with them afterwards, like after the set was done. So like the venue is in the back, and then the bar is in the front. And the bar is like a very divey bar. At the end of the night, he came out and all his friends from around there, I still keep up with some of them on Facebook, like the drummer of that band and the guitar player of the opening band. We all sat down and I ran up the biggest bar tab of my life. It was it was seriously, it was like a $570 bar tab. I was just back from deployment. I was like, I'm flush with cash, whatever.
Right.
Hanging out with
living it up.
Yeah, whatever. I think I bought a round for the bar for the first time in my life.
You're balling.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So we got really silly and had a great time. Mickey took over the sound system and was just like playing random whatever off of his phone. It was a whole lot of fun. Yeah, it was great. It was just such an amazing time, and it was cool. And like, I have his cell phone number, and I've cashed in on that before. Randomly, just before I joined the airlines as my career path, I went on a trip to like go try to see them. I didn't think it was going to work out. I rode my motorcycle from here to Portland, Oregon, or from Arizona to Portland, Oregon.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Well,
we're in Michigan right now, by the way.
Yeah. I've ridden my motorcycle from Chicago to Portland, Oregon. That's a long ways. With a lot of zigzags in between. But yeah, I rode my motorcycle from Arizona to Portland, Oregon to see them. My buddy Brent Strauss was flying out to hang out with Blair to go see them. And my other buddy Elliot lives out there too and wanted to see him. And I just called Mickey up. I'm like, hey dude, can you get me into this show? It's sold out. I didn't know if I'd be able to make it and I'm coming. And he hooked me up with backstage passes for 2 nights.
When was this?
This was in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a great time. It was
very cool.
So much fun. And to thank him, I brought him a couple of bottles of mead that my wife at the time worked for this meadery in Prescott that is like one of the top meaderies in the world.
What's it called?
It's Superstition Meadery. It's really good stuff. Try it out. You'll love it. Berry White is what put them on the map. It's a series of meads it's a honey wine with a white chocolate adjunct. Oh. And then they do various arrays of berries. There's 4 of them on the standard lineup, and they do other stuff on special editions.
Cool.
But yeah, it's really, really yummy stuff, especially if you're eating cheesecake along with it. It's my favorite.
Little chocolate cheesecake?
No, just white cheesecake. Yeah.
Trying to do chocolate cheese.
Oh, yeah, chocolate cheese.
Sorry.
Yeah, to wrap it all into one. Anyway, yeah, super cool. And all of the hijinks that go around trying to sneak a bottle backstage at a venue and everything. Ween has been a very weird motivator in my life always, and I appreciate that.
Good. Now, do you have anything negative to say about this album? Is there a worst song on this album?
Yeah, I could definitely think I could do without Candy.
Custard and berry. Candy. Peaches and cream.
Candy is just a little bit too much, and it goes on for too long. If it were like a short segue of absurdity, then yeah, but just like the scream. Apparently somebody was in the trunk, and I imagine it was definitely hallucinogen induced. Like, they got somebody in the trunk screaming to get out, like, oh, let's record this, will be cool. Like, sounded good at the time. I think that could be omitted and make it a little bit of a tighter album, all told.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's 3 songs that I thought were like, these are...
I bet you I could guess the other 2.
I bet you can, too. Go ahead.
So, the other one would be HIV Song.
Dude...
AIDS. HIV.
If you replaced the lyrics and made it about like a girl's name or just something generic like that, no one would ever like it. It's not good. It's not a good song.
Yeah, and let me guess, the other one is, Mr. Would You Please Help My Pony?
Listening to someone sing about a dying pet is distressing to me.
Yeah, so I guessed them?
You guessed them perfectly.
All right, yeah.
You guessed them perfectly. That said, I think every other song on this album, literally, is a banger. Every song on this album, I mean, this is a long album. There are fucking 16 songs on this album, and they have 3 duds, and really, they're not terrible, terrible duds, but they're duds.
I personally absolutely love Mr. Would You Please Help My Pony, though. The irreverence. It's catchy, I think.
I think it's his love. Mister, would you please help my pony?
No, I mean, to each their own. I just like...
I mean, I understand because I guessed it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a weird song. It's such a weird subject matter. It's just not for me. But I mean, you got Drifter in the Dark on here, which is a better take on the kind of country vibe that song is almost going for.
Do you ever walk alone?
Do you ever walk alone?
Like a drifter in the dark.
Like a drifter in the dark.
Seeking out what isn't there.
Seeking out what isn't there.
Looking only for a spark from a girl who's all alone.
From a girl who's all alone.
It's funny that they have so many country-esque things here in Spaghetti Western because it portends their next release.
Which is the only other album that I ever really got into.
Yeah, which is 12 Golden Country Greats, which is 10 tracks.
Okay.
But it's awesome. They had apparently Elvis Presley's backup band on that album.
That's incredible.
It is such a good album.
Yeah, that is a good album.
And, I'm generally not one, like, people are like, oh, I like country. I'm like, pop country is the fucking worst.
It is. It is the worst genre.
It is the fucking worst.
Yeah.
When you get into the older country...
High Plains country, real country.
Yeah, like... country or western. We got both types of music around we got both kinds of music around here. Like when you get into like that era beyond, Blues Brothers earlier, country and western, like there's some quality stuff there.
Great
and
stuff,
this really, their next album really delves deep into that country feel they get off of those 3 tracks in this album.
And Drifter in the Dark, you think it's going to be like, a dark song, but it's not.
But also, it's sad.
Well, yeah, it is kind of mournful.
It's melancholy.
It's lonesome. It's a lonesome cowboy song.
Yeah, it's a lonesome cowboy song. Yeah, and it's a good match to his breakup song earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my point. Like, you could just kind of randomly pick out almost any other song on this album, and they're all pretty strong, other than those three that I mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the guitar playing, the vocals. I think the only regular that they had of their current lineup was Claude, their drummer. So this is their first studio album that they actually, like, went to a studio to record.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it was all them in a 4-track in the Pod, I think, is the place that they lived, and it was just...
Oh. Even Pure Guava is on a 4-track?
Yeah, that was pure 4-track in, like, their house that they were living together.
Wow.
I think right about this time they started getting married and, like, living separately and everything, so it's not like... Yeah. I think that's where this album came from, their studio. And that's where... This is when their studio era happened. It's really interesting. A lot of bands have that thing where they either start great and then go down, or they start...
Okay, and then get great,
and then go down. Yeah. This band is kind of weird that they kind of just zigzag to me. Like, they've got high points and low points throughout their career. And unfortunately, to me, I think they finished on a low. And if I'm on the forums talking about it, a lot of people say I'm gatekeeping if they love the stuff that I consider as trash at the end, but whatever.
You're a gatekeeper.
Yeah, I'm a gatekeeper because I love their original shitty, crazy ass stuff that they did on a 4-track when they were just like, ah!
But they're like done now. Do they talk to each other? Do you know? Like,
no, they're not done. I mean, they're touring.
Okay. Oh,
they're
that's
touring.
Not done at all.
Well, they ended recording. They haven't put out anything new since the early 2000s.
Oh, but they've still been touring during the whole time?
Yeah, well, they broke...
more or less.
They broke up in the late 2010, somewhere in that time.
Yeah.
But then they got back together, and I went and saw them with a whole group of friends in Broomfield, Colorado in February of 2015. It was awesome. It was 2 nights of just them jamming out a completely packed arena in Colorado. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
A lot of the friends that I've already talked about on this went and met up with me. A lot of my True Blue Ween fans.
Right on.
We went and saw it.
And to go back to something you said earlier about how they loved the Doors and, like, played a bunch of Doors songs, I was really not surprised to hear that, because they didn't just hop genres. Take Me Away is pretty much, it's a fucking Doors song.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah, like the guitar sounding like the Ray Manzarek synth.
And even his vocal styling is reminiscent.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Just like, baritone. Man, those vocals. Jeaner is so good. Aaron Freeman's his name. His vocals are so good. He just can go falsetto. He can get that deep baritone. He's got a very, very full range that rivals Mike Patton in his highs and lows. Yeah,
definitely an incredibly talented couple of dudes.
Oh, man. Now I gotta get away from that girl before I go crazy. Take me away some other land. I gotta get away from that girl before I go crazy. She took my love away. She took it to another man. Now I gotta get away from that girl before I go crazy. Take me away some other land.
Yeah, I'm really glad you picked them. We were going to do Radiohead. I'm kind of glad we didn't, because I already know I like Radiohead. And I'm not saying I'm going to dive face first into like the whole Ween discography, but I certainly have a lot more appreciation for them today than I did a few days ago. I think I'm going to pick back up 12 Country Greats.
Yeah, I would say another one that would be a good one to just sample their greatness is The Mollusk, their nautically themed album.
I've heard a lot about that album. Yeah.
It has got a lot. It's themed nautically.
Yeah.
It's so good. Awesome. I don't know if it's just... does it hold up for me type of thing, but I absolutely still love all of the songs. Like Ocean Man is super catchy.
Yeah, I've heard that song.
Yeah, it is definitely steeped in a bunch of nostalgia for me in the times that I've had where that album was being played with friends while we were doing things. But I will stand by saying it is a musical masterpiece as well. So.
Anything else you want to say about Ween before we move on?
They're good dudes, man. Going backstage and hanging out with them, they were like just regular dudes that played foosball with Mickey. Hanging out at a bar with him was like hanging out with all of our type bros.
Just a normal dude, I'm sure.
Yeah. He's very grounded in reality,
great.
but like he knows where he came from. He knows his success. He loves to tell his stories. So yeah, I got a ton of the stories while we were fishing with him, and yeah, it was good. But he wanted to hear my stories too, which was really cool. He's like, oh, "Wait, you're an Apache pilot?" He wanted to know everything about that, and yeah,
That's cool. Maybe I'm biased again because I think of myself as a quasi-Philadelphian, but it seems like a lot of the celebrities from that area, like Bradley Cooper, Tim and Eric, a lot of those guys, they do all kind of seem pretty grounded for being famous dudes.
yeah. I had no idea Tim and Eric were from Philly.
Yeah,
it's cool.
They went to Temple, in fact, now.
All right.
Usually at this point I have like some fun 90s question for my guests, but since we had 36 hours that I was aware that this was going to happen, I didn't come up with anything. But so why don't you just tell the people what you and I are going to do next? What are we going to do with our evening?
Well, Christian Herminski, who has showed up on this show before, will be showing up. Well, he's here. He already dropped off pizza. He's on a beer run. We're going to hang out and drink beers and catch up because we haven't been together in person in a while. So.
Yeah, we're going to pound some beers and pound some pizza and be tight bros.
Tight bros. Can I come up with a question for you on the fly?
That's fine. Can you?
Okay. Growing up in the 90s, there were several different types of construction set, playset things that you could have.
Okay, yeah.
During our era, in 90s and 94, we were growing out of toys, but they were still available then.
Okay.
So, of these 4 types of construction toys, what construction toy would you rather have a full set of now?
Okay.
Legos. They're still tried and true. Like, if you could have just whatever Lego set you wanted, a Lego set. Tinker Toys.
Okay.
Constructs.
Of course.
Do you remember Constructs?
I was hoping you were going to start with Constructs.
Okay.
Judd loved them.
And then the final one would be Lincoln Logs. Those were and still are available. So
they still exist?
Yeah.
Wow. Obviously, I'm going to go with Legos. I feel like that's the easy one. I was at Meijer the other day, and in the wintertime, sometimes I'll break out a puzzle and do a puzzle over break or something like that. And I was kind of thinking man, I might actually pick up. I've never done it before, but they had all these fancy Lego things now where you construct it, but then it's kind of like a display kind of thing.
Yeah, you need very specialized pieces that are printed up only for the thing.
Right. So
and they're fucking expensive.
And they're fucking expensive. That's why I didn't get one.
Yeah.
But so that's why if someone wanted to drop $60 on a bunch of little cubes of plastic for me, I would take that one.
I was at Target with my dad the other day shopping TVs, and I saw the X-Wing fighter was $299. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's absurd.
For some shitty plastic that's could break apart and you're not ever going to be able to figure out how to put that thing together again because you threw the instructions away when you were building it. Ugh.
Is that what you would go with as well?
Oh, Constructs all the way.
Constructs?
What spawned this question was I was just in my parents' basement. I found all my tubs of Constructs, and I was building stuff with my son. It was awesome.
That is very cool. Are you going to be able to take them back home?
Maybe mail them.
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea. Well, thanks for coming on the show again, Dave. This is your 3rd visit, and you chose not to go outside of 93, 94. You decided to stay true to the format. But
I still got more. There's another one that I'm amazed that nobody's done. So, hey, if you're listening and you want to do this one, I want to hear it, but I'm not a big enough fan to think that I could go deep enough. But Beck's Mellow Gold was in that time frame, and I'm sure somebody out there listening absolutely loves this album, and I want to hear you come on and talk to Travis Roy about this album. It's
astonishing that no one's picked it yet, though Morgan Peak and I are going to do One Foot in the Grave.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks again.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I absolutely love doing this. I love listening to your podcast.
Thank you.
This one and Cinema 9.
Thank you.
And really makes my drive much better when I'm driving 2 hours to and from work.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on many times. Thanks, brother.
Bye-bye.
Car flaming with the loser and the cruise control. Babies in Reno with the vitamin D. Got a couple of couches, sleep on the love seat. Someone came saying I'm insane to complain about a shotgun wedding and a stain on my shirt. Don't believe everything that you breathe. You get a parking violation and a maggot on your sleeve. So shave your face with some mace in the dark. Saving all your food stamps and burning down the trailer park. Yo, cut it. So get the door. I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me?
As the man says, If you want to come on the show and talk about Beck's Mellow Gold or any other album, reach out to me. My email is 9394podcast@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook. I'm always looking for new guests, so if you want to come on, let me know, or maybe you know somebody else that would like to come on. That'd be cool. Rate, review the show. That is always appreciated. Thanks again to Dave for coming out. It meant a lot to me to be able to spend some time with him in person. That was very cool. And yeah, that's it. Bye-bye. A music podcast with Travis Roy is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.